and a very warm welcome to our 48th Security Thought Leadership webinar. And we've been here throughout the coronavirus outbreak, examining different topics related to security. And the idea of thought leadership is that we all, in order to make a better security in the future, we like to critique and debate the type of security we have today. That's the idea of thought leadership. Today is a bit special, and it's a bit special for two reasons. The first is that it focused specifically on the impact of COVID-19 in Nigeria. And we're looking at what has been the issues and the security response. And the second point about today is that we are going to be examining, we're going to be announcing the winners of the 2020 Nigerian OSPAs. So after the webinar, after 45 minutes of webinar, we will be announcing the Nigerian OSPA winners. It's brought to you today in conjunction with Securex West Africa, and we're very grateful for their support and their enthusiasm. What's going to happen in a minute, though, is that I am going to invite our 4 expert panelists to introduce themselves. And once they've all introduced themselves, I will then invite them to make their opening statement. Now, what you will see is a fast-moving debate. And I'd ask you to use your question and answer button at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions that you've got. The question and answer button at the bottom of your screen, and I will endeavour to get to you. So without further ado, let's get going. And let's ask our panelists to introduce themselves. And first of all, Tanwa, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Tanwa Ashiru, the CEO of Bulwark Intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Tanwa. And Cheta.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cheta Wanze, the lead partner at SBM Intelligence in Lagos.
Thank you very much indeed, Cheta. And Kabir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Kabir Adamu. I'm the Managing Director of Beacon Consulting Limited and the Special Advisor to the Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much indeed. And finally, Mustafa, can you introduce yourself, please?
So much, everyone. My name is Engineer Mustafa Losti, CEO Kontz Engineering Limited and Chairman ASIS International Chapter 206 Lagos.
Thank you very much indeed, panel. Now you know who they are. Let's see what they've each got to say. We're going to go to each of the panelists. We're going to ask 3 minutes for them to make their opening statement about the topic. So let's go first to Tanwa. Tanwa, your opening statement, please.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, when it comes to COVID-19 and the impact that it is having or that it's still going to have in the coming months in Nigeria, one thing I know is that Nigerians are a very resilient group of people. They're already bouncing back, and we see that in every aspect. But I know that even though it hasn't slowed them down completely, we can't ignore the fact that it has impacted lives, it has impacted livelihoods of many Nigerians, and the socioeconomic impact of this is going to be felt even more in the coming months. This will be the time, I think, that the government should switch to its recovery plans, if we have any. But hopefully they do. And it will be time to switch. It will be time to encourage the citizens of the country. It will be time to stimulate the economy so the impact is not too severe. It will be time to assist businesses, fund necessary projects only and not frivolous ones. Hopefully the economic impact doesn't affect funding for the security sector, because if not, the repercussions will be felt. We already know that some of the trends that we tend to see here is that with an economic decline, there usually is a simultaneous increase in crime. So hopefully all these things are in play, and if not, we are really likely to see some major drastic issues in the security sector of the country. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And now over to Cheta for your opening statement, please, Cheta.
The security sector so far has not been as encouraging as we would like it to be during the pandemic. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that VIPs at all levels have not been very forthcoming with respect to the restrictions, and this has undermined what the security sector could have done. A Nigerian newspaper, Premium Times, undertook a journey around the country during the height of the lockdown and showed that many security agents were not obeying the security instructions in terms of lockdown orders. This, unfortunately, will have the effect of undermining trust in the security sector. And this has helped to further a perception of complicity in things such as an increase in number of attacks in various parts of the country. We've had cases in Lagos of various armed gangs, 1 million boys, for example, holding whole neighborhoods hostage. Now, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it can be done. As Tanwa says correctly, Nigerians are very resilient people, and we should be able to pull together. But the key thing that needs to be worked on is trust. We need to have trust in both the authorities and in one another. Thank you.
Senator, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate your opening statement. Let's now go to Kabir. Kabir, your opening statement, please.
Thanks, Martin. Just to build on what my two other co-panelists have mentioned, we are seeing a trend. Let's take ourselves back to March this year when the first case of COVID-19 emerged. Now, a lot has happened. On the one hand, you have a huge resistance. A significant number of the population do not even believe that COVID-19 exists. And then, of course, from the security sector, the most, I think, prominent factor for me is the introduction of new elements of public security requirement. So the enforcement, as an example, the enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols by the security agencies on the one hand. Then on the other hand, you have a significant number of the population that are resisting this requirement by public security officials, sometimes because the trust mentioned by Cheta, or sometimes because the public security officials are not properly protected. So when they approach you, you feel they could be an agent of transmission for you. Now, the second part of that is the opportunity that has emerged for the industrial security sector. Almost all the public security agencies are stretched. And because they are stretched, there is now a new demand for support from the private security sector, industrial security sector. However, unfortunately, from the policy side, we are not seeing a recognition of that requirement for support. So I think there is a huge opportunity there for private security practitioners, both in terms of operational security as well as physical security. And I'll expand a bit on this. We've seen an increase in cyber crime during the last 6 months, from March to this period. And a lot has been spoken, including by Interpol, as well as the Nigerian police force. They've released reports and they've given the data for this increase in cyber crime. So there's a lot of opportunity there for private security. And then in the implementation of especially physical security protocols, we've seen a new demand, as an example, for COVID-19 protocols by security practitioners. I mean, in certain instances, and almost in all the areas where I operate, I know that private security practitioners are in the front line of COVID-19 implementation. So as an example, if you have a premises that you are protecting, the likelihood that the first encounter, to that premises, when whoever visitor comes to that premises, would be with the security, agents or operatives that are deployed in that environment. So what kind of training have we as security practitioners given to these security operatives? So there is an opportunity there as businesses are opening up, and this requirement is becoming a reality. I see that opportunity. In terms of physical security, especially the decontamination of properties, disinfection, that requirement as well, both in terms of training and then in terms of the deployment of the facilities as well as the equipment for that type of services is also in high demand. So the Nigerian environment, in spite of, in addition to the resilience mentioned by the other co-panelists, is evolving. And in that evolvement, challenges as well as opportunities. If I go to the Northeast, where for those of us who are aware of developments in the Northeast, there is a huge threat of terrorism in the Northeast. Now we've seen a spike, an increase in this terrorism, and some of the perspective coming out is that because the terrorist groups are no longer having access to the supplies that they were having before, So now they are looking at, supplies that are going to residents and communities in that region. So there is a demand as well for protection for residents of that community from public security practitioners, as well as industrial security operators. So, I mean, whatever geopolitical zone you look at, depending on what kind of analysis you are doing, that evolvement, inherent in it are challenges as well as opportunities. And I think I would like to just add that to the resilience that have been mentioned by my co-panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kabir. I appreciate that. So can I just remind everybody to use the question and answer button at the bottom of your screen. That's where you ask questions. And if you get them in early, I will endeavour to include them. So please get your questions in early. Right, our final opening statement then. Mustafa, yours, please.
Yeah, COVID-19 has been a serious effect on Nigeria, the most populous African country and the biggest economy. As this may be, the Nigerian decision in handling the COVID-19 will probably just will only affect not just in Nigeria, also in Africa. And this has become something that we have to live with. We had to also be much more disciplined in the way we handle and we approach situation. I have seen that during the lockdown, we realized that a lot of organizations do not have long-time residual to be able to stand it, and these actually, in the other effect, because we also have high level of unemployment, create a lot of crime, and this has become a very big challenge that we have to face now. And in the forefront, why the government security is facing the Boko Haram and the insurgents, we at physical security are facing community crime. And this will require us to retrain our operators in a way to be able to manage the crime available, and also to realign our process in the security monitoring, surveillances, and access controls. This will create, it comes with these challenges and also create a lot of opportunity for business. But most importantly, I think Nigerian government and Nigeria private security personnel needs to be much more disciplined in enforcing the protocol and the process so that we can be able to take over and put the end to the COVID on time. Thank you.
Mustafa, thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that. Well, we're inundated with questions, I have to say already. I'm going to come to Kabir first, because Kabir, you picked on a subject that one of our questions, Wakil Grema, I think that's how you pronounce it. Well, no, sorry, let me come to this one first. Agbede Akubu, who says, do we really have a problem with COVID-19 in Nigeria? Now, Kabir, you mentioned this, but it's a question in advance. How do we persuade people, or would you want to persuade them, this is no conspiracy, this is very real? What's the route to getting that message across? Kabir first, please.
The emphasis has been on risk management communication, and the strategy that the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has been pursuing is to put out protocols, and then hopefully the various stakeholders would embrace those protocols. Unfortunately, that is the gap. The federal government had hoped that the state governments, corporate organizations, as well as private individuals will embrace those protocols and then spread them out. That has not been happening. A lot of the messaging that we're seeing is coming from the Presidential Task Force, but then agencies like the National Orientation Agency, for those of us that are not in Nigeria, I would just want to break it down. We have a federal system, you know, at the national level, you have this agency, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, and then all the 36 states of the Federation are supposed to have various task force. So the strategy or the structure that should have evolved would be one where the federal government provides the guidelines, and then the state government will embrace them and enroll them. So that there is a gap there, unfortunately, in terms of how the state governments have embraced this strategy. So a lot of the disbelief regarding the existence of COVID-19, I think, is as a result of the absence of a strategic communication system that would reach the rural populace as well as all stakeholders. Sometimes you hear messaging, you know, advocacy and other kind of messages on radio and TV, but we know that unfortunately a significant population do not have access to these mediums of communication. So I think the answer is in risk communication.
Okay, thank you very much. Mustafa, I'll just come to you on this. I think it's worth getting 2 points. I'm thinking particularly about the route to rectifying it. Would you agree with Kabir?
Yes, I agree with Kabir to some extent, but I also feel that the government needs to build trust. Most of the challenges we're having in Nigeria is that the public have lost trust in the government, and when government put policy in place and put modality in place, people tend not to believe them because they do not see it working. And I believe at this particular time, we have seen a different change, especially in the National Assembly House of Senate, trying to ensure that they can build trust by trying to work on those that have actually embezzled and stuff like that. If we can rebuild trust in our population, and we can also implement policies that will favor public, not like taking more from the public instead of trying to support them. At this particular time, we were supposed to review our policies in terms of the taxes, in terms of what type of support we want to give business, and to ensure that business can get back on their line. But we do not see that type of support from the government. And that is affecting unemployment, is affecting business processes, affecting business approach, and it's affecting development and the trust of the public. So I agree with him to some extent, but I feel government needs to do more by empowering, build trust, and encouraging people to be able to get back on business. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to come to you next, Tanwar, with a different question. I want to move on. Oefami Ijami has asked a question, Ijame perhaps, excuse my pronunciation, has asked Tanwar, and this question often crops up in these first 47 webinars we've done, about the state of regulation of security. And all around the world, this is a challenge. And of course, COVID-19 has thrown up more challenges. What do you think the state of regulation of security has been in Nigeria during this crisis? What have we learned? What needs to change? Tanwar first, then I'll come to Cheta. Tanwar.
Okay, so one of the key things that we've learned with regards to security and how it's been regulated, especially during the lockdown, is I'm not sure if anyone really has a pulse on the situation. I'm not sure even if our security agencies, so to speak, have a pulse on that. Now, and there are two aspects of regulation. We're looking at either regulating the private security, so I'm not sure which direction his question is coming from. Either regulating private security companies or regulating the security government forces. So I'm gonna take it from the government forces point of view. One of the key things that we've seen happen during this lockdown are, for example, illegal checkpoints that pop up. And have you been able to, has anyone been able to actually keep track of that, figure out who is justifying these checkpoints? For example, you have people who are setting up checkpoints and are taking money, extorting from people, especially during the lockdown. I think Sheta mentioned it as well. We saw this during the lockdown. There was supposed to be, the borders were supposed to be closed, but yet people were moving about freely. There was a little bit of traffic, and the traffic was caused by checkpoints that were set up to tax the people who were breaking the law, but it was just about paying and then you would go. So again, it was a major problem. And I don't know if most people remember this as well, but during that time, they saw a lot of people who were on, I guess they were in trucks, right? In lorries, big trucks, in the back of the trucks, migrating or moving from one part of the country to the other. And it started this whole narrative all over again. And people started saying it was migration, or a certain part of the country wanted to take over the other part of the country. Again, this boils down to what even Dr. Kabir was saying, which is, look, the communication needs to be there. So that communication, I don't think, was really as strong during the lockdown. The security forces, depending on where they were pretty much doing whatever it is they wanted to. A lot of people complained about being extorted during that period. I'm not sure if there was a pushback or if there was any kind of response from the leadership of these security organizations. So that has been the main thing. Now, when it comes to even private security, there's an existing and ongoing issue, which is the government or the government agency anyway, that's involved in regulating private security companies. They haven't really had a pulse on that either. I think there was even a court announcement that came out recently that stipulated that private people could have their own security guard companies, and it wasn't security guards, and it wasn't mandatory for them to use private guard companies. So again, it was a failure on the side of the government regulation. And so that's the issue. They also don't have a pulse on it. When you look at even consulting companies, so companies that offer security consulting, and I know there's been a lot of advocacy for people fighting for more regulation to come in that sector. We haven't seen that right now either. So, you know, if you're asking if there's regulation, there is, but is it really being followed? Is it really being tracked? Is it being utilized the way it should? We haven't seen that at the moment.
Okay, Cheta, can I ask you particularly, Cheta, if you wouldn't mind, about the private security sector? Cheta, your thoughts on what we've learned, what happens next? Cheta.
So, speaking about the private security sector, there isn't much to say of enforcement down there. Too much of an organized
Cheta, you're just breaking in and out, Cheta, of your sound's not quite right. Cheta, we can't quite hear you. Cheta, we can't quite hear you. Your sound is breaking up a bit.
Is it better?
Yes, try now. No, Cheta, we're losing you. We'll come back to you. I think if you could, Cheta's going to rejoin. Meanwhile, let's just move on to a different question, because I've got so many questions here, and I'll come back to Cheta as soon as he comes back. A question from Michael Oduba, and I'm going to come to Mustafa first. Nigerian security managers, Mustafa, Nigerian security managers were caught to, Cheta, let's try again. So let's go back to you first.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, much better, much better.
Okay, my apologies for that. My connection went AWOL for
no problem.
Moments. Yeah, so I was talking about the role of private security agencies. Private security agencies can only support through government. So it's government security agencies that are at the front and center in terms of enforcing government edicts, things like the lockdown or other incidents. Now, the big problem, or one of the big problems, because there are so many problems, one of the big problems that have to be faced and have to be tackled squarely is high-handedness on the part of security agents. So as an example, 2nd of April, soldiers who were enforcing a lockdown order in Delta State killed a young man who had gone to buy something for his fiancée, and that caused a riot. So the actions of security officials in enforcing a lockdown ended up creating even of a problem. And we saw repeated cases of this across the country. At a point before COVID-19 deaths began to escalate, there was a point where security agents had killed more people than the virus itself. So those little actions, and again, going back to what I said earlier about officials not obeying lockdown protocols, those kind of things tend to reinforce the notion that there are different rules for different sets of people. And when you have those different rules for different sets of people enforced in, basically taking root in the minds of different of the people, then you will have a case where the lockdown will be in place in theory, but people will find all sorts of ways to circumvent. So as an example, Nigeria has not had international flights for some months now, but there's enough evidence to suggest that people who are connected have been able to fly out of the country. So as a result, in order to circumvent that, many Nigerians to fly out of the country, they go across the border to Benin Republic and then fly out from Cotonou. So we have these little things that end up coalescing into bigger issues. How do we stop all of that? Basically, by enforcing the law uniformly. Whatever government edicts are made should be enforced for everyone at the same level, so that the government itself does not end up undermining itself. One problem that I see is the fact that it appears that the security agencies on the public side may have gone rogue. So government agents make pronouncements, and then the security agencies do what they like, when they like, how they like, without recourse to those edicts that the government has made. That's a problem that we need to have a serious discussion about, because if we don't have a handle on the way the security agencies operate, then we don't have a handle on anything. Security is the basis on which to build the economy.
Thank you very much indeed, Cheta. Now I'm going to ask my panel I'm going to come to you for just one question at a time. We've got so many questions here and I want to get it across. I'm going to come back to Mustafa if I might. Amalkel Odohu says, one of the problems, Mustafa, is for security managers were taken off balance a bit by the crime wave that's been occurring. And the question is, first of all, how can we get a better handle on patterns of crime so we can predict it in order that it might be managed better in the future? Mustafa, your thoughts on this, please. I know this is a problem that extends beyond Nigeria as well, Mustafa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it is not more a news that most of the security managers are having issues in combating crime or managing crime in their organization. And this is as a result of them not having a close relationship or close attack to the type of attack. We focus more on physical security, which is a manga security that also by not hiding the value to what we have by having a layer security. If you just have a guard system and you don't have a good surveillance, or you just have a CCTV, you don't have a surveillance, you probably don't have something that monitors security guards and also helping to help your vulnerability. So we have to introduce a form of access control surveillance system on the form of layer security that we can be able to ensure that we can get information on crime on time and react on time. And we'll also to ensure that, yes, we have a couple of disciplinary method in a private security system and private organization. And with that, I believe with the number of discipline and having layer security in your environment, you will be able to have prompt information and secure environment much more. And also, we had to be able to justify the cost to the management to let them see the implication of the security. So I will advise that security manager needs to get much more educated in the modern security solution, and to also be able to sell itself to the management to ensure that it can invest in the security equipment or security station for that organization.
Mustafa, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to move on quickly because I want to get more questions in if I can. And I'm going to come to Kabir. Kabir, just a brief answer, if you wouldn't mind, Kabir. I want to try and get through these questions from the audience worldwide. And it's a bit like you mentioned earlier, trust, Kabir. And the question comes from Bayomi Ogunde, who makes the point that VIPs don't always obey or listen to regulations put in place. And this creates, of course, your point about a lack of trust. Got the problem, Kabir. High level, what's the solution?
Enforcement of the protocols across the board. I think the general perception is that there is a culture sometimes of recognizing and allowing VIPs privileges. But on the positive side, in one of the instances when domestic flights were resumed, we saw the airport authorities attempting to implement these protocols even for VIPs, which is a bit encouraging. In the past, that type of outcome would not be had. For those who are not aware, 2 VIPs were highlighted when they attempted to circumvent the protocols that were at the airports. So I think that is encouraging, and that is the way to go, to enforce these protocols across the board. And a lot of this will be dependent on the type of training and support system that are provided for the security agencies. If the line manager, as it were, or whoever is heading the particular security organization gives the confidence to his staff that whenever they enforce this type of protocols, he has their back, then they are likely to enforce the protocols across the board.
Kabir, thank you very much indeed for that. You make a good point. It's not just about enforcing the law, it's also about publicising that so people know. There are 2 angles to it. I'm going to move on. I'm going to come to Tanwar. Tanwar, Rajiv Martha, who's been involved in a similar panel when we talked about India. We focused on India, very much like we're doing Nigeria today. And Rajiv wants to know, Tanwar, whether the reputation of the security sector in Nigeria has been enhanced or been lessened as a consequence of its role in the virus, attacking the virus. I think worldwide there'll be a lot of people interested in this. Tanwar, your thoughts on it, please.
Well, I definitely think it hasn't necessarily been enhanced. And I don't, hopefully Rajit got this as well. I mean, we've all spoken about all the issues that happened during the lockdown. And I remember that clearly. I thanked for Sheta for bringing that up, where he talked about more people at some point had been killed by the security forces than even the virus at some point. So it wasn't a good look at all. Now let's fast forward. Even here in Lagos, just yesterday, there was an incident at the very populous area of Lagos where some officials killed some bus conductors, and there was a reprisal attack. These other, young boys in the area took up all sorts of, things that they had around, stone sticks, whatever, and we're hoping to carry out a reprisal attack against the law enforcement officials that were there. So again, this is something that we keep seeing over and over again. And if it's something that's happening in this time of a virus, I mean, why are officials actually killing bus conductors? Now, if you know anything, you know that, yes, they were probably breaking the rule, they were probably being unruly, and at some point in them trying to enforce the law, things got out of hand. So unfortunately, it hasn't really been a good look, I think, on the security forces. Now, on the other hand, though, when we look at the military, for example, they have been conducting quite a few operations across the north, both the northeast and the northwest. Banditry attacks increased a lot in the northwest. And so there were different reports, and they got orders to actually go there to tackle the situation. So they've been there, they've been trying to tackle the situation. And we talked about communication earlier. Communication is so key. The public information role is huge. And that means that people need to know that their results, people from afar, everyone's going to be critical. But I think their PI or PRO, the public relations officers, have been putting a lot of information out there, just showing some of the successes that they've had. And I think that has helped generate some form of support, I think, specifically for the military and for the role that they are playing right now in the Northwest. So it varies. It varies based on which security agency we're talking about. For some, they've had a good look during the lockdown. For some others, not so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to come to Mustafa. Mustafa, very quickly, if you wouldn't mind, just like your views on this. In short, has it been enhanced or has it been undermined, particularly the private security industry? Mustafa, very brief, if you wouldn't mind, Mustafa.
Yeah, private security, I would say, has been enhanced in the sense that we have to cover the gap for the public security. There has been more need for private security than ever, because especially when it comes to the COVID, because the COVID happens to be a medical challenge, and they want to put the private security in the front line to test it, to check the temperature, to give them a thermometer to check the temperature of the people before they come into their premises. And there has to be an additional value to what they do added to their own tax business. And in addition to that also, the COVID has made some of the security devices obsolete. And for example, if you have a CCTV and science cannot detect whoever wear masks. So you have to look for a technology that can actually, you have to add a value to the CCTV to be able to detect somebody behind the mask, and also to be able to detect temperature remotely. So for that, I will say with this reason, it has had value. It has had value to the security organization, and also has forced the security professional to expand their knowledge, and to implement a lot of trial to ensure that we can reduce physical contact and we can be able to protect our environment much, much better.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to move on quickly because I've got more questions coming at you. I'm going to come to Cheta now, if I might, Cheta. And William Dare has got a question. And this is an interesting one, William, which has also cropped up in the context of other countries. To what extent are the current problems facing security, in fact, about poverty and about a lack of awareness in some areas? To what extent, Cheta, would you say they're the problems? Your thoughts, Cheta?
To a very, very large extent. So you can't divorce the levels of poverty, unemployment, and the negative impact of COVID on the economy from the way people are reacting. So in Nigeria, a vast majority of the population live from hand to mouth. They live daily. A survey that we conducted last year showed 1% of Nigerians, it's only 37% of Nigerians that have income to spend after spending on food. Now, that's a very low number. So if people have to spend money every day and are basically day laborers, any day they don't go to get some money means that they don't get to eat the next day. It's the reason why you have incidents like people breaking lockdown rules, going to the markets opening despite the fact that they were supposed to down. Now, these things also affect the security agencies. Security agents in Nigeria are poorly paid relatively. And because they're poorly paid, they tend to be angry. And the people that are on are the very people who they are meant to protect them. So it's almost a loop and it's self-fulfilling prophecy, where poverty makes people break rules. Security agencies who are poor as well get angry and use overwhelming force. So that's one of the things that we have to look at very, very seriously if we're to get Nigeria out of this cycle. Basically, we have to break the cycle of poverty. If we can break that cycle of poverty, then things will gradually begin to lift up.
Thank you very much indeed, Cheta. I appreciate that. I'm going to move on. Kabir, I'm going to come to you next. And a question from Abayomi Ogunde. Sorry, no, it's not. Ogbanya Emmanuel. And he talks about, is it he? I hope, I don't know whether he or she, I don't know the name. The new normal has created more lone workers than ever. They need to be protected, Kabir. This has been a big issue around the world, of course. Working from home is a new entity too on this scale. How does an organisation go about providing security to these categories of people? Kabir, I'm going to have to ask you to be very concise, please, because we're running out of time. Kabir.
Sorry, just to get context on the question, is he referring to working from home or
both? So two, working from home and lone workers. So lone workers aren't necessarily working from home, but they present on the scale a new challenge because working from home is new on this scale and lone working has a different connotation in this virus. So it's a general question, Kabir. I'll be grateful for your thoughts.
My understanding is the most organizations, I mean, I'll give the example of a particular organization that I know. What they did, apart from the cybersecurity measures they introduced to enhance security within their network, they also engaged in specific training to highlight the risks of working from home, especially with regards to the confidentiality of documents and the kind of messaging that are put out there. As an example, if you're in the office, you are in a closed environment, your computer, your system would be displayed and all that. But working from home, especially depending on the type of environment you are, exposes a new trend. So training, I think, has been very instrumental in that regard. With regards to lone workers, I have not specifically seen any development within Nigeria to indicate that there is a recognition for that type of threat. So I think this is a very important question, and it highlights the need for this particular category of workers. And perhaps, like I mentioned earlier on, in these challenges, that there are opportunities for security practitioners.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to come to a question sent in advance, which I mentioned at the beginning, from Agbide Akubu. And the question is, to what extent the problems relating to security are due to, it's from Wakil Grammar, who says about the insecurities in northern Nigeria. And the question is, we know it's a particular problem there, but with regards to COVID-19, is it more acute there than it is elsewhere? Let me come very briefly to Cheta, just very briefly, Cheta, because I want to get Tanwal's views on this as well. Very briefly, running out of time.
I would say it's possibly more acute in both northern and eastern Nigeria. It's difficult to get data from both places, but the population centers in the country, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, are the places where are of great risk. Having said that, we've done a list of prominent Nigerians who have been killed by the virus, about 60 prominent Nigerians. And if we were to take the analysis that says that for every prominent person killed by this virus, about 9 non-prominent people have been killed, then I would say that yes, it's overwhelmingly bad in the north.
Okay, Tamar, just your thoughts on this.
Yes.
We've spoken about some of the sort of lack of consistency across the country. The question specifically about whether the Northeast, of course, which is worldwide recognition, about how that's specifically worse or not worse during this crisis. Tamwa.
Okay, so I recently reviewed some reports that came out of, say, the IDP camps in the Northeast. And what they were talking about wasn't necessarily even really COVID. It was more talking about the impact COVID was having and being able to assist the people there. So you have people who are already dealing with hunger, are dealing with being displaced, and they get some form of support from, you know, some agencies or some people. And when the COVID lockdown happened, it shut off that access to what they were benefiting from for their basic daily living. So in that aspect, I think even though COVID has had its issues, you know, the health impact of it and fatalities haven't been as bad, but then even for those who are living, who have to deal with their day-to-day lives, they saw their resources completely shut off during that time frame. And it's not just them, it's also even the insurgents who are in that region. So they started seeing more incidents of insurgents coming out into some of the neighborhoods to set places on fire, to cart whatever goods and food that they could get and go back to wherever they were. Again, same thing, like I think even Kabir had said it earlier, they also were seeing their supplies getting shut off. So I think this is more of the impact that COVID has had in the Northeast, in a place that's dealing with displaced people and dealing with an active insurgency.
Thank you very much indeed. Very interesting, I have to say. It's always interesting here how other countries manage it. Okay, what I'm going to ask you to do, if I could, each of you in 30 seconds, is what do you want to see, each of you, happen strategically with regards to the security sector as a response to COVID-19 and where we are now going forward? What are the strategic big picture changes that you want to see? Just 30 seconds each because we're running out of time. And I'm going to come to Cheta first, please. Cheta.
I would like to see the improvement of local intelligence gathering. One of the problems that we have faced, and it showed in the COVID pandemic, was the fact that our security services do not have proper intelligence about what is happening at a micro level. If they did, then things like the 1 million boys menace would not have happened.
Thank you very much indeed. Mustafa, could I just have your same thing, 30 seconds if you wouldn't mind, Mustafa. What do you want to see next?
Thank you very much. I want to see a government security that embrace technology more than physical combat. And I also want to see a government that protects people that are not affected by the insurgent, and be able to fight those, meaning that for those places that are safe, we need to put a form of surveillance to ensure that the insurgent will not have access to that, will be able to have a prompt response. In case they want to move, we can be able to track them before they kill any other person internally. And I want to see a collaboration within the private security and government security that they can share intelligence and help each other and make Nigeria a much, much safer place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. I appreciate that. Kabir, please, your final thoughts, headline thoughts, just 30 seconds, Kabir, if you wouldn't mind.
All right. The country is, the economy contracted by about 6.1%, according to the figures released earlier this week. And then we're about to enter a recession. So that means there is a need for judicious use of resources. And to achieve that, the security sector needs to see better coordination. There is a huge pool of private security resources that is currently not being utilized by, as it were, in the country. So better coordination, and then, of course, the introduction of monitoring and evaluation mechanisms within the security sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, just one quick follow-up. Do you think the political will is there to ensure that more funding is going to go to the Nigerian security sector? Very quickly.
The will may be there, but the funds are not available, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Kabir. I appreciate that. Tamwa, we'll leave the final comment to you, Tamwa.
Okay.
Bring it all together. What do you want to see, Tamwa?
Awesome. So I agree with Mustafa on technology. Now, yesterday I saw some pictures showing a community that were spotted in the forest, and it seems like the military went there to clear out the forest because they're dealing with banditry and kidnapping. And in that group, we saw about 20 women, about 70 children. Now, I have no issues where people choose to live, but what I do have an issue with is the government having absolutely no idea about who these individuals are. No biometric data, no education for the children, nothing. So I think we need to take a serious look at making technology very much a part of our security architecture. The ability to track, the ability to trace, the ability to really have a pulse and understand movements, migration, nomads, unemployment, really understanding the situation so that you can have strategic planning, tactical operations that will bring about more evident results. So increased use of technology, I think, will be very key in this next coming months.
Panel, thank you so much for your views. That was extremely insightful. And I have to say, it is fascinating on these webinars to get views from different parts of the world. So my very, very grateful thanks to all of you. Thanks also to the audience. I am so sorry we weren't able to get to all the questions. That's just because there were just so many of you. So I really, really appreciate that. In a second, we're going to move over to the Outstanding Security Performance Awards. Just to let you know that we did today is the 48th webinar we've been doing. We've been here every week. And so please do join us for these webinars because they're a great opportunity to find out what's going on around the world. And it's fascinating today to see so many people outside Nigeria also interested in what's going on in different parts of the world. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure now that we turn to the Outstanding Security Performance Awards. And I'm hoping that you will see on your slide in a second the relevant words, and there we are. We're moving out now to the Outstanding Security Performance Awards, and these take place, you know, all over the world. It's a great opportunity for Nigeria to be showcased. In each of those countries, we hold award events, and they're spreading out across the world. And the great thing about the awards is they're exactly the same in every country. In every country we go to, we make sure we represent the whole security sector. So Nigeria today is part of a global initiative, and I'm very grateful to our event partner, that's Securex West Africa. They're going to be at the 29th to 30th of June 2021, so a bit later next year for obvious reasons. Grateful thanks to them, we work very closely with them. We also must thank, and this is a must for us, our judges. Now all over the world, the Outstanding Security Performance Awards are judged by an extremely prestigious panel, and we're very grateful to these people. They've marked the awards, they've marked independently, they've marked to an ethics policy, they've marked in a way where on every single mark sheet, they have to declare a conflict of interest. So they take their job very seriously, and we take it seriously too. So I'm very grateful thanks to all our judges. Another important feature of the Outstanding Security Performance Awards is that in every country in the world, we don't nominate the judges. We go to our supporting associations and we say, can you support this initiative, please? And on that slide, you can see all the organizations that support the principle of recognizing those who are really good at what they do. So a very, very grateful thanks to all our supporting associations. And I must just say this, we also are very well supported by 3 people from Nigeria. Wilson Esenbedo, grateful to you, Wilson. It was Wilson's idea, by the way, to have this in the background. To Thomas Uduo, who I know some of you will know, and he was on a webinar yesterday, and to Raymond Obaji. Now, in fact, Raymond is going to assist me in presenting the awards today, along with the CEO of Bulwark, Tanya Ashuri, who will announce the winners. So I've got a little team. We're working together on this. And throughout the proceedings, we will be sharing all the details about the awards with our international followers on social media. Incredible as it may seem, there are people all over the world, as far away as Australia, New Zealand, the United States of America, Canada, Europe, waiting to see who the winners are today. So please do use these hashtags. If you are successful and you want to tell the world, then do please use these hashtags. Don't forget though, just by being a finalist, you're already successful. On the OSPAs, only those who are deemed by judges to be worthy are made finalists. You can't even be a finalist unless you're unless you've done very well. So even to make that shortlist, you've done extremely well. So please use these hashtags in any publicity that you do. Right, next step, let's go on to present our first award. And the first one is Outstanding In-House Security Manager or Director. And this award recognises those who through security expertise, business acumen, or innovative leadership approaches have led with distinction. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to Raymond Oduba and ask him to read out the list of finalists. Raymond, over to you, please.
Outstanding In-House Security Manager of the Year, finalist. Adedeji Oduba of Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company, Dr. Charles Bassi, Central Bank of Nigeria, and Hilda Dafe Nwachukwu, CPP PCI of Cummins, West Africa.
Thank you very much indeed, Raymond. And now I turn to Tamwa, and I'm going to ask Tamwa if she can announce the winner of the Outstanding In-House Security Manager or Director. Tamwa.
Okay, and the winner is Adedeji Oduba, Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company.
Well, many congratulations to you and to the Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company. We did have a little applause in the background that was supposed to happen, but we couldn't hear it. But a wide round of applause to the winner. Obviously, normally we would be at a physical event and we could all cheer and clap. But I hope that around the globe that you'll appreciate that we are cheering you on and we are wishing you all the very best. And there'll be more details available about the winners on the website after the award ceremony. Let's move on to our second category now, Outstanding Contract Security Company. And this is where the OSPAs acknowledge those who are outstanding suppliers of manned security guarding, making a positive difference, recognising the distinct importance of frontline leadership, motivating staff, managing resources, forging partnerships. These are just some of the qualities the judges are looking for. So what I'll do is I'll ask Raymond if he will read out who the finalists are. Raymond, over to you.
Outstanding Contract Security Company of the Year, finalists, Evergreen Protective Services Limited and Halogen Group.
Thank you very much indeed. And of course, these were the two the judges deemed to be worthy of being finalists. Let's go now to Tamara. And Tamara, can I ask you to announce the winner, please?
Yes, and the winner is Halogen Group.
Many, many congratulations. Hoping there was going to be a bit of applause in the background, but it's not quite working. Of course, like all these things, it worked in practice. But there we are. But many congratulations to Halogen Group, and please do share details on social media, and we will be putting more information about the winner on the website. And typically, we'd be at a live event, but obviously with the virus, we're having to do it online. Okay, let's go down to our third category, Outstanding Installer Integrator category, which recognises companies and individuals who excel at security installations. Raymond, once again over to you, if you wouldn't mind reading out who the finalists are, please.
The finalists for Outstanding Security Installer and Integrator: 1. Avert Halogen. 2. Kontz Engineering Limited.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's go to Tamwa and ask Tamwa to announce who the winner is.
And the winner is Avert Halogen.
Many congratulations to Avert Halogen. Let's just see if we can get that applause going. I've got something going in my ear saying they're going to try. Can we get the applause going? No, I think Hannah in the background can hear it, but we can't hear it live. But anyway, round of applause from around the world for your success. Let's move on to the fourth one then, moving to Outstanding Security Training Initiative, which recognises individuals or companies that operate a successful training scheme and has produced identifiable results. And don't forget, the key thing about training is identifiable results. Raymond, over to you, please.
Outstanding Security Training Initiative with identifiable results. Finalists are: 1, Academy Halogen. 2nd, McLean Essien, CPP, PCI, PSP, CCIP of ECIMAX International Services.
And now to reveal the winner, Tamwa, please.
And the winner is Academy Halogen.
Many congratulations to you. Thank you very much indeed to our entrants, and good luck and well done. We're going to come on to one now that worldwide is attracting attention, because we know that the security world is very male dominated. So around the world, there's a lot of interest in a category of outstanding female security professional. This is to recognize that women are greatly underrepresented, but clearly do an absolutely outstanding job. And the idea of this is to recognize that, that difference. And so for someone who's shown outstanding performance over an extended period of time and has had a substantial impact upon defining and driving standards in the sector. Raymond, can you please tell us who our finalists are?
Outstanding Female Security Professionals. Finalists: 1, Avril Eyewu Edero, IHS TOAS. Hilda Dafe Nwachukwu, CPP, PCI of Cummins, West Africa, and Victoria Nkemdilim Ogbuehi, CPP, PCI of Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company.
Thank you very much indeed, Thomas. So Raymond, I'm going to go over to Tamwa now. Tamwa, can you reveal the winner?
And the winner of the 2020 Outstanding Female Security Professional is Hilda Dafe Nwachukwu, CPP, PCI, Cummins, West Africa.
Wide applause from around the world. Wide applause from around the world. Many congratulations, Hilda. That is another prestigious achievement. And just for you to know, there are a lot of people waiting to see who's won that award. So many congratulations. Now, another group, in addition to women who perhaps have been underrepresented, are those who are outstanding young security professionals. And this is our penultimate award. And this recognises a security professional under the age of 40 who has excelled and made an impact and is laying the basics for an outstanding career in security. So this is the point here. It's about individuals who are laying the foundation for a career in security. So important for the future of the security sector worldwide. So what I'll do once again, for the penultimate time, I'll ask Raymond to read out who the rising stars are, Raymond.
Outstanding Young Security Professional. Finalists: Brian Roberts, CMC, PFSO, SRMPC of Natural Chemicals Industries. Number 2, Henry Adedeji, APP of Pilgrims Africa Limited, and Victoria Nkemdilim Ogbuehi, CPP, PCI of Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Raymond. And now to Tamwa. Can I ask you to do the honors, please, our young security professional? Tamwa.
Okay, and the winner of the 2020 Outstanding Young Security Professional is Victoria Nkemdilim Ogbuehi, CPP, PCI, Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company.
We are applauding around the world, even if we can't hear the applause locally. Thank you very much indeed to our judges. You know, it's a big thing about being judges. They all mark independently, by the way. They mark to an ethics policy. They agree to sign up to an ethics policy. If they've got any conflict of interest, they have to declare it on every mark sheet. And the idea of this, if you become a finalist in the OSPAs, and if you win an OSPA, that it means something. That it means something because we've created a level playing field. So once again, many congratulations to those who've been finalists, but many congratulations to our winners, and Victoria, really well done. And we look forward to catching up with you after the awards ceremony. Now then, we have reached the time when we unveil the winner of our most prestigious accolade, the Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, this OSPA recognises a senior member of the security community who has consistently shown outstanding performance over an extended period of time and has had a substantial impact upon defining and driving standards. Now, before I ask Tanwa to reveal the winner, I would like to highlight the achievements that have led the OSPA judges to select this person as the winner. The person is a seasoned professional, starting his career in the Nigerian State Security Service and later working with many multinational companies. He has gained credibility over the years and is a regular keynote speaker at respected security seminars, also appearing as a security analyst on national and international television, and is regarded by his colleagues as a great mentor in the security industry space. And all around the world, we try to recognise those who've set an example in their career. Tanwa, don't keep us waiting any longer. Can you please reveal the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award?
Well, I am delighted to announce that the Nigeria Lifetime Achievement Award 2020 goes to Dennis Abie Amakri, MON.
Well, many congratulations to Dennis. And I'm hoping actually, now by the way, Dennis has only just found out from Tanwa that he's won. He had no idea. It's all kept a secret. So the first he will have heard about this was as Tanwa announced it. But I do understand that he's in the audience. And in the background, my colleagues, Hannah Miller and Christine Brooks, I'm hoping they're going to arrange for him to appear on screen so that we can just get Dennis to say a few words. So I'll just see if it's possible to get Dennis involved and just get him to say a few words. All around the world, what we try and do on the Lifetime Achievement is we give people a chance just to say a few words because it's such a significant reference point. I don't know whether we're going to be able to get Dennis on the screen. I know that in the background they're trying to sort it out. I've got a little note here, which you all can't see, saying congratulations to Dennis, hoping to get him on screen. Can we do that? Christine and Hannah, trying to do the technologies behind the scene.
Sorry, yeah.
Ah, I can hear something.
Okay, I'm here, but I think you can start my video from the control. Okay, very good.
Dennis.
All right.
Dennis,
Yes.
many congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tanwa. Thank you, Raymond.
Just to say, Dennis, this is the reason why you won is because you were exclusively voted for by the judges. So I can claim no credit here for this, by the way. It was the judges who independently assessed the Nigerian security sector. And so it's many congratulations to you. So Dennis, can we give you a chance, just 30 seconds, if you wouldn't mind, just to say a few words. Dennis.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very elated. I'm very happy today for this Lifetime Achievement Award. And, you know, you can do a lot of things and people can recognize what you do. But it is only when your own peers recognize you that makes it very important. And I'm really happy that my peers and colleagues have sat down to think that I deserve this. And I thank everybody. Tawa, you can stop crying. Huh? Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Dennis, thank you very much indeed. And it's a great honor. And in due course, Dennis, you'll get your trophy, I promise. But many congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before we close proceedings, let's just congratulate the winners one more time. So these are the people who've been successful in the 2020 Nigerian OSPAs. And that concludes the presentation of the Nigerian OSPAs, the Outstanding Security Performance Awards. And we would very much like to thank everybody for their help. And our Nigerian colleagues will be in touch to organise a safe and convenient time to present all the winners with their trophies and their certificates. So congratulations to you all. We want to send once again a special thank to our judges, our supporting associations, and of course Securex West Africa for partnering with us. And don't forget, Securex West Africa, 29th to 30th of June next year, a little bit later than it has been in previous years. And please don't forget all the finalists and all the winners to promote your achievements on social media using this hashtag. So finally, a big thank you from the OSPAs team here. That's myself and my two wonderful colleagues who do so much work behind the scenes. Laura Miller, who's been managing the technology behind the scenes, and the event manager who orchestrates all this, Christine Brooks. And to the Securex team, to George and Jamie and Abby and colleagues, and I sometimes struggle to say all the names, but they've been absolutely outstanding. So a special thanks to them. To Thomas Udu, to Raymond and to Wilson, to Tamwa for announcing the awards. Thank you to all of you. And we very much look forward to welcoming you to the 2021 event. And most importantly of all, until we see you again, and I hope it will be on the webinar on Tuesday morning at 9:30, when we'll be talking about security in Asia, from Nigeria to Asia. So 9:30, do tune in. You can find the details on the OSPAs website. And we look forward to seeing you then. But until we see you again, wherever you are in the world, take care and stay safe.